I'm gonna explain what we do and about the products. And we're gonna do the hands-on workshop. So as we discussed it, Josh is gonna do like a quick run through. And then later we can, whoever stays, go with the full step by step. And we have a Q&A, so this might be flexible now. And have a happy hour at Barney's. So at 5 p.m., if everyone wants, we're gonna go there and have some drinks and some food, so you guys are super welcome. All right, so I'm Roan, Developer Relations at Aparavi, and also I'm part of the AI Collective. The AI Collective is one of the largest AI communities in the world, have around 100,000 members. So I like to do events like this. Come on in. I like to be a part of the community, develop together, and if I'm talking too fast, just let me know. Sometimes my brain goes faster than I speak, so bear with me. And have Josh. Josh, do you want to do a quick intro about yourself?
My name is Josh. I have been with Aparavi for 4 years. I began writing software and building the tool that you guys are about to see right now. And now I am a developer relations advocate, which basically means I get to talk about the software I wrote, which is really cool. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, and again, this event's for you guys, and I really, really appreciate it for everyone to come on in, to being here today on this Friday afternoon. I know it's very tempting. I'm from San Francisco, so this weather is so nice. I just want to go out and go to the beach afterwards. So thank you for everyone being here today. And I just, like I say, I love to be the community. I love to be around you guys and build cool things together. So about Aparavi, we have been around the market for 8 years. I joined the company around 1 year ago, and have 5 offices worldwide and around 60 employees. And we have 2 products. The Data Suite. Data Suite's more towards enterprise, so helps you to discover the files that you have in your network, discover the files that have your tech stack, and make sense of that data. Some people use for migration, some people use to classifications, organize that data. Sometimes there's a lot of duplicate files. We can help with that. And then we have the data toolchain. So the data toolchain is the product that we're gonna be talking about today. So pretty much, it is a no-code, low-code tool for multi-model, focus on unstructured data. I know it's all the keywords, so let's go. So that's the tool. So this is the tool we're going to be talking about today, and why we're going to be talking about today. So lets you connect from different data sources, Google Drive, AWS, parse this data. You're able to classify this data, anonymize this data, and insert this data to vector stores. Why vector stores? Because you can use this as a context for a database. You can use this for chatbots. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the reason that everyone is here is to understand why we need to unlock the 70% of the data. Why we need to do that. So does everyone know the difference between structured data and unstructured data? Do you know? Yes? Or who doesn't know? Like, what is the difference between unstructured and structured? Do you want to have a shot?
Just tell us.
Yeah. So structured data, it is databases. You can, Excel files, for example, structured data. We have columns, have rows, have content. Unstructured data, it is photos, videos, images, anything that's not structurized. So that's the difference. And most of the companies, some studies say 70%. Other studies like the IBM here, it says 90% of the enterprise data is unstructured. So there's a lot of data, photos, unstructured data, photos, videos, images that's not being used for your intelligence, for the company intelligence. So this is called dark data. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to convert this dark data, the data is not being used, this unstructured data, into inside your business. We're going to be talk about today is a chatbot, but there's multiple other ways you can use the unstructured data. But it's not just get that data and put it out there. Here's just some things that go wrong. For example, in Italy, there's a point, so many data breaches on GenAI tools that Italy banned ChatGPT at some point 2023. Not sure if you heard about this case where the Chevrolet dealership is selling cars for like $1, and other things that have hallucinations and data leakage. So the point is not just you get the unstructured data and start to feed it in. There's a lot of other problems that can be addressed by a lot of other steps that need to be taken care of before just feed that data. So we have here, okay, so by show the hands, who are more technical software developer on today's session?
I'm just asking if you have like a software engineering background.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here you go. Yeah, so, I have a question. Can we take photos of the session? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Everyone cool? Or who's not cool with that then? Thank you. So what is RAG? RAG is the concept that you're able to make a question and have an answer by a LLM. But the difference between you just ask this question, for example, for ChatGPT, is ChatGPT doesn't have your data. And everyone knows that you cannot pull your sensitive information into ChatGPT. The moment you push your sensitive information, ChatGPT goes to that black box. Who knows where that black box lives? Who knows who can access this information? And who knows what they're gonna do with that data? So there's different ways you can ingest this data and have your transform this unstructured data, index this unstructured data into your local instance, and let the LLMs access this data. But first, they need to be masked, because we don't wanna this information to be leaked anywhere. You need to own this data, because you don't want them to have access to this data, but the LLMs need to access your data for you to be able to talk to your data. It might be a little bit confusing, but I'm gonna explain on the pipeline the best way possible, and Josh is gonna show some examples. I'm gonna show, so we went over about the RAG system, and I'm gonna explain use case that as example, just for you to understand, as a software developer, if you need to build something like this today without relying on tools. So for example, we have Michelle. She works in a multinational company around the 6 global regions, and she have 18 terabytes of data, so it's a lot of data. And she have 1 week time frame to conclude this process. So you have the raw data that lives in different databases, different spaces. So we have AWS, we have a Google Drive, we have emails from your computer, OneDrive. So all this data contains personal PII, social security number, a lot of information, and then after that, you need to get all this data. So we need to connect to all those data sources. Then you need to organize this data. and you need to manually mask the sensitive information if you don't use any type of tool to do that. If you need, let's talk about like tool from scratch. And then you need to manually embed this data into a vector store. Vector store is it's a place that LMs have easy access, and after that you need to get this information to the company. So this process, first, if you want to do all this development from scratch, can take, I don't know, a month, 6 months, a year, depends how good you are. And after that, you need to mask this information. Imagine, on that example, she have around 18 terabytes of files. So I assume she has millions and millions of documents. If she need to do this masking document by document, you need to have a whole team. Impossible to do this in 1 week. So that's why there are tools that can help you to do that. And when I talk about the PII masking, that's what I mean. So that's a PDF. On this PDF, have a very interesting information. So we have a graphic here, have a handwriting text, have a social security number, have a credit card information. So the masking goes, first you need to transform this unstructured document into text. And then after that, or during this process, you need to identify the social security numbers, the credit card information, and mask here. So here it says, it's very small, but it says passwords, and here it says bank information. So the process for you to do this to this can be automated, and that's what we're going to be showing today. And this what I'm going to be doing today. So Josh is going to go over the process of get a demo file, so a file that we generated, and use a drag and drop function that helps you don't need to connect to different data sources, but later on, if you want to do in your house, in your office, instead of using the drag and drop function, you can actually connect your Google Drive, your Gmail, just for you be able to talk to your data. I'm gonna show you how you can do this PII automatically. So how we're gonna set up the PII masking, how we're gonna set up the classifications, because you can set rules. For example, if in your use case you don't need to hide, you need to hide names. For example, here we have names. That's right here. The names are here. If in your use case you need also hide names, you can set up this on classification. So the classifications node, you can add and remove aspects there. So we're gonna show you how to set up this PII protection, and we're gonna ingest this data into Quadrant. Quadrant is a vector database, and also I'm working with Quadrant. I produce a lot of content for Quadrant as well. And if you have questions about Quadrant, I know to answer most of them. So Quadrant is a vector database that lets get all the text that you transform from structured data into text, ingest this text to the vector store, and the LLMs can access as a context for your RAG application. And then finally, we're gonna go on a real example on the RAG. So we're gonna talk to the data. That's the goal of today's session. So that's the pipeline we're gonna be creating. Josh is gonna go over more in detail, but overall, we're gonna drop the file here. The document has been it's very small. So the document is gonna be parsed, so we're gonna define what is PDFs, what is videos, what is images. This node here is for classification, so we set the rules of the game, and then we mask the data that we set up in the classifications, and we're gonna process, embed this into a vector database. And then we're gonna use a chatbot to retrieve this data and talk to this data. So yeah, so let's build. The one thing that I would like you guys to do is to join our Discord channel for 2 or 3 reasons. First, we're gonna be sharing the photos and this recording there. Second, we have the examples for this there as well. And then third, if you have questions, there is a support channel. You can ask questions. I'm on Discord all the time. Josh is there, and they have engineering. So if you fly to German or a different time zone, there's also gonna be people who respond to your questions. So yeah, thank you guys for being here, and welcome everyone that comes here new. Come on in. And I think she went to get the bathroom key.
First, for those of you who want to follow along, we've built a resource package in GitHub. It is on github.com/Aparavi software. It is the Aparavi Data Toolchain Workshop. So you can actually go here and you can download the zip file, and then you can unpack it locally. And this will...
Okay, put it in Discord.
Yeah, no, it's in Discord. So for those of you who are actually following along as well, if you join the Discord, you can go to our events page. You'll actually have a post there that has a link to the downloadable link for the zip file, as well as a link directly to the repo, so you can poke around and view the files directly. Okay, cool. So from here, awesome. So once we get to the projects page on the data toolchain, we have our previously built pipelines that are displayed on the right-hand side, but we are going to create a new pipeline. And right here, we're going to look for within our templates, so we have the option to actually create a blank pipeline, or we can use a preset template, which is exactly what we're gonna do, just to make it a little easier for everyone. So we are trying to classify and anonymize some of the PII that has been left in this data set. And we will be doing that by selecting the classify and anonymize template. So first thing we're gonna do is we are going to drop this node. So we're gonna delete the initial node. So what that node was, that was a demonstration node for us. It's actually a preset data set, a data source that we have set aside in Google Drive in order to demonstrate. But for this purposes, we've actually set you up with that directory. We've set you up with a already generated data set that we're going to be focusing on today. So we're going to then add a new source node. That source node is our drag and drop node. What this does is it allows you to use files locally on your system. Generally speaking, when we talk about at scale, you wouldn't necessarily want to be dragging your files directly over a web browser and just dropping it and then sending it off over HTTP. We actually have a multitude of other nodes or other source nodes that you can choose from, including AWS S3, Azure, Google Drive, Google Gmail, a few Microsoft services, and so on and so forth as well. And then actually one that does work at scale is our webhook. So for those of you who are a little bit more developmental friendly, it effectively allows you to build a webhook that can ping the server periodically and send data a little bit more efficiently than just dragging it into a browser and hoping it all goes well. Wonderful.
How did you connect the drag drop to this?
Great question. I kind of blew through that, didn't I? So here, let's actually delete this. So there are these little circular bullets on the right and left-hand side. Sometimes, as you can actually see here in the text anonymized, there are two separate lanes horizontally. So there's top lane, lower lane. This one in particular, for the drag and drop, it's only one. You just drag, so you click that circular bullet and you drag it directly into the data lane. So this is actually also another cool trick that we kind of added in just for ease of use. So let's say you have a node that you're starting with. You're starting with a Gmail node, and you want to know what you can actually do with that node. How can I connect it? What are the kind of functions that I can perform on this? What you would do is you can actually click the data bullet, and on the right-hand panel, it'll pop out all the nodes that are available to use with that particular node. So in this case, we actually already have our data parser, so we don't need to add anything. So we will just drag it and connect it like so. Any questions? Cool. Let's dive into it. So here we actually, out of the box, we have a fully functioning classification and anonymization RAG pipeline with one caveat. We actually have to configure the quadrant database because we are going to opt to use a cloud service as opposed to a locally hosted cloud instance on our own machine.
Connect to the quadrant.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and log into that real quick. So effectively what's going to end up happening is we will, when we configure that node, we will begin starting the pipeline, we'll execute that pipeline, and essentially what will happen is we will drag the data set that is included in our resource directory, and we will drop it in the UI, and then it will begin performing a various amount of functions on that data in order to get it in the format and into the location that we want. For starters, what it's going to do is it's going to parse the data itself, and it will extract all the text from the files, and then it will send it off to 2 separate lanes, which I will demonstrate once I get the laptop back. Those lanes will be the classification lane, and actually you can see here, classification lane and the anonymize lane. What's happening is we are sending off the original text that we parsed to the classification lane, and then we're taking that same text, the original text, and sending it to the anonymization lane. So what's happening here actually is we are classifying individual aspects of that data, and then we're sending it to the anonymized to compare the original text with the classified text, and then we are going to be replacing the PII or that sensitive information that we do not want to give to a chatbot or anybody using a chatbot character that we have chosen. Now that character is actually set in the anonymization node, and we opt to default to a black box, but if you wanted to separate that or replace that with like any character, like a bunch of J's or whatever, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So cool, we have actually already set up our quadrant store. So from here, like I said, we're going to save our pipeline first, and then we're going to execute the pipeline as a whole. So once we execute this, perfect. So it will open up a side panel that will give us our logs. And the logs are effectively telling us what's happening server side. So right now, actually, we are initializing our server based off of the nodes that we have selected. Some nodes require different dependencies. So we are downloading and initializing those, and we are waiting for that guy, which is a link to our dropper interface. So we're going to click that link, navigate to our dropper UI, and then here is where all the fun happens. Okay, cool. So we will just command all, and then we will take these guys and drop them like so. And then that's it. That's pretty much it. Really easy to get up and running. We used a template that was already pre-built. All we needed to do was configure it to be just right for our purposes. We started it, we initialized that server, we got that link, we've already dropped our data, and now what's happening is it's going through and executing every one of these nodes and performing a very specific function on that data. And then at the very end, what's going to end up happening is it will send that data already vectorized to a vector database for you to plug into using a chatbot. Now, we are primarily focused on being that data layer. We are solving for the data problem, or at least the unstructured data problem of AI, which is a pretty difficult problem because unstructured data is roughly 70% of all data, and it's scattered everywhere, and it's also generated every day, every second of every day by every single one of us. And a lot of times you don't even know really what you have, and you don't even necessarily know how to incorporate that into your AI chatbot. But with this, you could effectively do that at ease, really quickly, and get up and running and plug it into, like, say, a N8N or a Langflow, Or you can opt to use our internal chatbot, which I will go into right now. Actually, after I show you the output. Oops. Cool, so we have our cluster right here, and it is Aparavi 99. And there we go. So we've given it a bunch of data. That data had a lot of PII, a lot of information that we don't want to give out. And it has successfully identified it. So you can actually tell by the key names here, first name, email, date of birth, definitely don't want to give that. And some other identifiable information that we do not want to release. So we've successfully anonymized it, identified it, anonymized it, and sent it off to the vector store so that now we can actually leverage that and derive real information from our data without leaking anything while maintaining complete compliance with the chatbot. So we'll go back to our canvas. So first thing, I'm going to stop this pipeline. Actually, I'm going to do one. The reason we have to stop this is because we don't want to be sending a half-baked pipeline to our servers. So we need to make sure we stop that instance and then we can start to edit it again. So from here, we can actually drill down into the vector store because we've already done the hard part, right? The hard part was formatting that data into a format that's friendly with AI or AI models and send it off to the vector store. So from here, we will click the questions. Actually, we'll start with the add node at the bottom left on the toolbar. And then here we will select our chat node. And once we have our chat node, we actually need to make sure that we transform that question, whatever we query or that natural language that we're going to use with the chatbot, we need to make sure that we transform it into a computer readable format. So we're going to use our embedding node. And then we're going to just connect the bottom lane. Remember how I mentioned that earlier? Now it comes into play. The bottom lane is for questions. So it's our output lane. The top lane is for input. So we're giving it the data, it's doing its thing, it's sending it somewhere, and now we want to extract value from that data. And we'll just do that by adding a node and connecting two bullets. It's that easy. And then from there, what we did is we connected it directly to the question lane for the vector store. So we're saying, hey, here's my query. Go look at the vector store, see if you can match anything here that maybe be of value. And then once we get that information back, we will then send it off to a language model of our choice. And we are choosing Gemini, primarily because for demonstration purposes, they have a free tier. So you guys can just actually follow along here and derive some actual value from it. Personally, I prefer ChatGPT, but sometimes it can be a bit pricey. So now we have it. There's one step though, one last step, right? Now we have the query coming from the user. We have the vector database that's storing all of that related information. And then we have the LLM that is going to pluck that information out and then hand it to you in a human readable format. The last thing we need to do is we need to handle the answers coming from the LLM directly. So we will just click that bullet on the right side of the node one more time, and we will scroll down to the HTTP results. What this node does is it actually just allows you to receive the raw format. So we have a various amount of different tools that we kind of incorporated, one being the SDK. Our SDK allows you to basically use code with our pipelines and directly grab that information and do other things on your own. So some of you guys were talking about like data enrichment. Right now we actually don't support data enrichment. In the future we will. However, right now you can extract the data where it is, and you can perform your own enrichment on your own using Python or Node.js. So from here we will connect the answers bullet to the results. We will save this guy, and then we should be good to go. So from here, we actually have a chatbot already ready, configured. Let's do it. So what we've done is, now that we have everything figured out, we had to debug a little bit. I was able to get the data in the correct format. And from here, on the chat interface itself, I was able to ask who had disciplinary action within our HR data set, and it has given me the correct data that I was looking for. So for example, Kevin Lee's disciplinary action, he is a DevOps engineer type of action, he had a written warning. You also have Eric Young's disciplinary action. He had a verbal warning, so somebody just told him don't do that again. And then you also have the actual reference documents. So the documents that actually told us that there was some disciplinary action taken that we documented for our own HR purposes. And it gave it to us directly so that we can reference the chatbot and make sure that what it is actually getting is correct, and maybe that maybe we can go back into that later on and fix it up or do what we need to do with that. So there you have it. We've just built a successful chatbot that used our private data that was littered with PII. We classified it, we anonymized it, we vectorized it, and then we chatted with it using an LLM of our choosing. This thing is going out. Anyway, that's it.